Welcome to this week's video in the Death series. Today I have another story of someone who died in one timeline and then shifted to another timeline. In previous videos we already talked about multiple scenarios. Some people jumped back in time, some people jumped a little bit forward in time, so there is differences. In this story here, we do have someone waking up the next morning after they have died. What's interesting and different about this story is that this person, this woman, she took notes about things that changed. When we shift timelines, some things may be different in other timelines. Sometimes it may have been that we bought an object in timeline A, but not in timeline B. So when we move to timeline B, that object is no longer there. In this case, the object that woman bought, it was an adult toy, didn't even exist in timeline B. It was just gone and she wanted to buy the same one and it never existed. She couldn't find it anywhere. But there were other changes as well. Remember, when we shift timelines, the people we meet there, even though they may be our people, may have different memories. So her husband, let's say in timeline B, did not remember things that she remembered happening in timeline A. Also, songs she remembered that were written in timeline A, songs she liked, were either not written in timeline B or that artist never had a big breakthrough, so those songs were not known. To me, the story is especially interesting because of all the different alterations between those timelines. But listen to it for yourself. I truly believe I died the night I OD'd in February 2021. I still can't stop thinking about that night. It isn't a constant thought, but it is consistent enough to make me notice it. I researched the drug I chose and the levels it was lethal at. I picked a drug I knew had 100% chance of death over a certain amount. To be extra sure, I combined it with other lethal drugs as well as their lethal doses. It was a rough time in my life and I had gone through so much. Anyways, I am in an okay place now. Back to the story though. I was hysterical saying goodbye to my dogs. I wrote a letter, emailed it to myself knowing someone would find it, and I went to bed next to my husband expecting not to wake up. But that's when things got really weird. I couldn't fall asleep and about an hour or two in, I started to panic. My husband was sound asleep next to me and I don't know why, but I go out of bed, knelt down on the floor in the yoga's child pose, and I felt like I continually was falling through my floor back to my body from above. This happened multiple times, maybe 5 to 7 floors. It didn't hurt, it just felt like I was literally falling. Like it was my spirit or soul leaving and coming back. You know that stomach drop feeling when you're suspended in the air on a roller coaster? It was like that over and over again. I was Googling how long until my heart stopped, and I found out that after a certain amount of time, if I didn't go into cardiac arrest, I would survive. I was actually relieved as I was starting to doubt actually wanting to die because of how absolutely terrifying it was. I don't remember getting back into bed, but I woke up the next morning. Horrified at the experience, I deleted the emailed note and I didn't tell anyone what happened. This next part is super weird. Honestly, even more weird than dying. The next day, I went to grab my adult toy from under the bed where I always kept it. The only people who knew it was there was me and my husband. It wasn't there. This was my favorite toy and I used it regularly for a couple years, never changing where I kept it. It was right next to me on the floor where I was laying the night before when I fell through the floor in universes. My gun key kept in a spot under the mattress was also gone, literally directly above where the toy was kept and where I lay to sleep. I also didn't change the spot where I kept that and no one knew but me where it was. It was between sheets and a mattress protector, so I know it didn't fall out. I tore my entire house apart for almost a week looking for them. I took apart my bed, shook out and turned inside out every pillow, case, sheet, everything. At that point it was less about the adult toy and more about where the hell it went. I moved everything, every piece of furniture, took things apart. Hell, I even checked the freezer in my car. It got to an obsession where I could not understand how this happened. I have kids and I checked everyone's bedroom when they weren't at home. Nothing. Nowhere to be found. Fast forward, and a month later, and I'm washing my bedding for the 3rd time since, and I always take everything apart every time. I checked each time for the gun key, and it was never there. Then one day, I'm making my bed and the key is right there under the mattress where I normally kept it. I must have searched the bed 20 to 30 times and it wasn't there. Immediately I checked under the bed for the adult toy. It isn't there. Now even more confused, but chalk it up to someone took it, which seems weird to me, but falling into another dimension is less reasonable so. We even joked about it falling through the floor into another dimension. Then it got spooky. I decided to go to Adam and Eve where I got the toy and just order a new one, and it doesn't exist. I used to do online camps and I had videos of me using it. Gone. The toy I remembered having is different in the video. I even tried googling similar products. It plain is gone from existence. It was really unique and it was a tongue that vibrated and moved. It was hot pink and had multiple settings, but the tongue flicking was what I loved about it. I can't find anything even similar to it. Now this may or may not be related, but I have had a song stuck in my head since. The lyrics are from a country song that says, "Oh no, here it goes. My hands start to shake, my heart's gonna blow." But I can't find the song anywhere. I'm a music buff and I know thousands of songs and lyrics. I thought maybe I had the melody or lyrics wrong, but it's too vivid of a song to forget. I listened to every song I could think of and never found it. Finally, my husband and I were talking the other day and I told a story about how this person in the car wash cut us off and we were a little irritated. I played the song Move B and we all laughed. It was honestly hilarious that the other people thought it was funny too, but my husband doesn't remember this at all. Did I die that night and wake up in another universe? Is quantum immortality real? I feel like I'm insane, but at the same time I've never experienced something so vivid as feeling like I'm not from this timeline. It's just little things I've noticed. Could this also explain Mandela effects? Maybe we died and went to another universe where things are slightly different. Do we all go to the same universe each time? Were the floors I fell through all the times I died prior in other universes? I had attempted to take my life before and I couldn't figure out how I survived. This time in particular, there's no scientific reason why I am alive. Nothing logical makes sense of why I'm here. The only thing that makes sense to me is I did die, and now I'm alive here in another timeline or universe. I actually found a sand dollar that had been missing for 6 years a couple days ago. This goes along with the story. I'm telling you, something in my timeline is not right. Songs that reappeared, items missing and either reappearing or disappearing completely in inexplainable ways. Memories of events that didn't happen. I may have to take multiple posts to document all of this because it's starting to get really weird. The more I think about it or talk about it, the more I see the differences. Now, was that interesting or what? We had objects disappearing, the key being found after a while. The toy has never been created in that timeline. Songs did not exist in that timeline. But she found something that she had lost over 6 years ago, the sand dollar. Remember, we constantly shift through different timelines. And of course, minor alterations can happen. But when we shift into another timeline where we survive, of course, that is a major alteration, right? She is wondering whether she died and woke up in another universe. And I think, yes, that is exactly what happened. I do believe that quantum immortality is real. And as I said in previous videos, we need to rethink our image of reincarnation. But I talked a lot about this in the other videos of this playlist. So make sure you watch the entire playlist. And then you will even hear what Neville Goddard had to say on this subject. I believe also that she is right. And yes, that is the Mandela effect. You know, the Mandela effect is a group of people having different memories because that collective moved from one timeline to another. But that circumstance did not happen. I don't think that we all go to the same universe each time, all the time. In the Mandela effect, we do have this group of people shifting timelines. But I believe when we die, then it is just us jumping to another timeline. I mean, the husband did not remember certain memories. So obviously that is another version of him. But I believe that the husband, when he dies, he is also going to make all of the experiences. So he will also experience the scene at the car wash, and then the scene where his wife suddenly remembered stuff that he doesn't remember. So she is wondering if the floors that she fell through, if those are other universes. And I think, yes, that may be a possibility, that she shifted through different timelines and then ended up in one. Neville Goddard called this the wheel of recurrence. And there is another story that I'm going to record in the future, a very long one though, where a person dies and then makes the experience not of falling through floors, but sees the wheel of recurrence, sees all of the different timelines that are sorted in kind of wheel, and then he gets to decide which one he wants to enter. But we will have another story like this also coming in the future, so make sure you subscribe and look out for those videos. Of course, I also understand the confusion of this woman. She said something does not feel right. I think it is right. It is just not where she came from. She came with other memories, and we do take our old memories into the new timeline. I believe that is at least what happens most of the time. But I also think that that may vary a little bit, because I have read that when we shift to another timeline, sometimes people we felt close to in one timeline, we all of a sudden don't feel close to in another. Or the opposite. People we didn't feel close to in one timeline, all of a sudden do feel close in another timeline. She said that something in this timeline is not right. I believe everything is right. It is just not what she remembers. When we shift timelines, we bring memories from timeline A to timeline B. So of course timeline B will feel strange, because all of a sudden we are in a new setting. In her case, things disappeared, appeared, memories were gone from other people. So of course that may feel strange. I have to say, I do hope that this woman, she will make peace with the situation and accept being in this new timeline and not obsessing over it and carrying the sense of something is wrong with her for the rest of her life. I hope she gets to live the second chance that she got, hopefully with a little bit more joy now, or a lot more joy, and that she left the thoughts of ending her life in the last timeline. Well, anyway, please let me know what you think about the story. Write your comments below, and make sure to check out the anti-death series playlist. I do see you there, or in my other videos, or of course in personal coaching if you want to dream your dream life into reality. All the best now. Bye-bye.